Hi, good morning. How is everybody doing? Good. Got enough coffee after drinking last night at the bar. Okay, we're good to go. All right. Priorities. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a retired Army colonel. I did 30 plus years in the Army. I was infantry for the first 10, but for the last 20, I was the senior modeling and simulation lead for the Department of the Army. Worked out of the Pentagon, and I've been working a lot with, one of my responsibilities was to work extensively with Army Geospatial Command and NGA. So some of my friends have coined me, I'm an honorary dirt nerd. I'm not at your level, but hopefully we'll be able to get through this. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is operationalizing terrain, really making the best use of it in unique ways with our virtual terrain walk. So first I'm going to start with a video.
And you've never been able to do anything like this before. Field to training within hours in real environments.
Mission planning, mission rehearsal, training applications.
It's immersive, that you can actually move in, testing the limits of your stamina.
You're running, kneeling, jumping, you're collaborating with everybody else in your unit.
They can really get in there and they can really understand what the lay of the land looks like.
And everybody walks away safe.
It really did feel like I was there and I was walking through that field. It was very, very cool and a good little workout.
Not very often do you see a revolution in military technology. The Virtuix Virtual Terrain Walk is that revolution. The VTW allows warfighters to walk the terrain before they have to fight on it. It starts with a drone capture.
It's 1 p.m. We're here at a training center in Austin, Texas. We're going to be capturing a scan with our 360-degree LiDAR scanner attached to this drone. All right, it's 1:30 now. We got the data that we need. It took about 20 minutes to capture. Now let's load it onto the computer. Okay, it's 3 p.m. We're back at the office. The environment is ready. From start to finish, this whole process took about 2 hours.
Once we created that virtual environment, we can enter into the Omni treadmills, and they can be either local or distributed across the country. We can all meet in a session to make sure that we can safely accomplish our mission. One of the key aspects of the virtual terrain walk is it's commercial off the shelf. The Omni One is a very small, compact system. You can have it set up in minutes and have it deployed to the point of need.
On the modern battlefield, I don't have the luxury of bringing folks together. So the fact that I can do a distributed rehearsal, but get that very tactile feel, I think it's revolutionary.
With the VTW, warfighters are able to get a sense of terrain awareness that they will not be able to get any other way.
I see this as a valuable training, leader development, and mission rehearsal tool. I think it's incredibly powerful to account for the time and space considerations and see how we would respond based on changes in the environment and iterate through the scenarios as I want to change variables. I can take the adjustments to the plan, feed those back as a digital output straight into my common operating picture, eliminate the potential for error, and create that feedback loop to my plan and my understanding.
I can use the VTW to actually adjust operational plans that will be executed by our warfighters. The virtual terrain walk is unique in the industry to provide this capability. This is something that the Department of Defense doesn't need to spend 15 years developing, and I'm pretty excited about this. Being able to get technology in the hands of warfighters now is something that is absolutely critical to maintain our technological advantage. The Omni is also a great way to keep our warfighters active and fit. Several of our customers burn 300, 400, and 500 calories an hour, maintaining health and fitness in a fun and engaging way. Walking the terrain and getting that timing is an absolute critical aspect that today is only done when you're under fire. With the virtual terrain walk, you can do that before the first round is fired. It's a game changer.
So what I want to talk a little bit about this morning is the details of the virtual terrain walk. Again, I'm going to talk a little bit about the pipeline, and I'll talk about some of the operational use cases. The pipeline that we're going to talk through will go from doing the actual reality capture that Cameron talked about. We were at a paintball field outside of Austin, Texas, using Gaussian splatting to create that 3D mesh, and then using the cesium ion tools to create those 3D tiles, porting them into Unreal, and then linking them finally with our virtual terrain walk, our Omni system, our commercial off-the-shelf system, to be able to physically walk the terrain. So for the reality capture, probably the first question you want, hey, what did you guys use? We used an X-Grid L2 camera for the capture. We did both. In fairness, we did both the airborne drone and we did walk the terrain. So it took us about 40 minutes total, about a 20-minute fly time and about a 20-minute on the ground for us to be able to get that data. Using SLAM, we were able to align, geospatially align both of those products to make sure that everything looked accurate and was geospatially aligned. Using that camera too allows us to get the Gaussian splattings, those actual RGB splats, so that when we start doing the render, we get that photorealistic imagery. And then the nice thing about this is it's the rapid field acquisition of geospatial content. We're not having to go out there and scan it for hours and hours on end. We can literally fly an area in a short period of time. So the area that you looked at, that we saw in the example there, that was about 4 acres. So we captured 4 acres at a 1-to-1 level in about 40 minutes. Next step we did, and this is what the kind of we started to really focus on making it photorealistic, is using Gaussian splatting. So using this Gaussian splatting effort, we're able to do the data import, pull those RGB splats, and use that as the mesh to be able to create those the 3D reconstruction. There was some manual cleanup with some of the cameras, depending on the time of day that you capture. For example, I told you we did both airborne and we did ground. Well, during the time, we had probably about a half hour, 45-minute time difference, and the sun shifted a little bit. So there was a little bit of mismatch, terrain mismatch as we were going through that. So there was some manual cleanup that needed to be done. But once that was all set, we had our stage was all set to be able to output the Gaussian splat reconstruction and pump it into cesium using the ion tool to start that 3D tile reconstruction. One of the reasons we like the using this 3D GS for virtual terrain versus creating it from scratch is obviously it's photorealistic. The field to user workflow is very, very rapid. We can get that done quickly. And in certain aspects, it's better than manual modeling. There are some limitations. It's a Gaussian splatting, so it's a photo. It's a 3D photo. So it doesn't have all the, if I want to kick in a door that's there on a building, I can't do that because it's not a 3D model. It's a 3D mesh. But if I'm looking at rapid visualization, I want to be able to see something very quickly and turn it around. It works extremely well. So at this point, we're ready for the tiling pipeline, and this is where our partnership with Cesium comes in. With the cleaned up Gaussian splatting, we're able to use the cesium ion tools to convert those into 3D tiles. That's kind of our first step, and to make sure that it's a streamable tile set, so we're not blowing up either device, or we're able to do that. We're able to do streaming, rendering, post-rendering, and just streaming the visualization to the headset. I'm a former Magic Leap guy, and one of the things that, even though we had the compute power on the device itself, it still was limited. So one of the things that we like to take advantage of is the remote rendering and streaming it to the headset, so we can get the best quality visualization for the user. Using the cesium ion tools, we were able to do the convert it into a streamable 3D tile set, and then start to do the geospatial placement of those tiles. Once everything was done, our stage was set for us to output this into Unreal, and we were able to start to do the Unreal. We use Unreal 5 for this use case for our streaming. The Unreal import was relatively easy. Pulling the cesium tile sets from Ion, we were able to use their tool to convert to Unreal, and it actually cut down our processing time relatively quickly. So in terms of the pipeline and the workflow, it optimized our ability to meet the timelines that we wanted to have to try to get it as quickly as possible. Once we got it into Unreal, we started playing around with some of the things that you're going to have to do when you're working with virtual environments. We had to go in there and do the collision detection. We had to do some meshing and some other things. So that way, as I'm in the environment, for example, if I walk up to a tree, I can't walk through the tree. So there are some artificial things that we did once we got into Unreal to make it prepped and ready for that 3D engine, and then ultimately for our Omni One VR experience. And if I'm going too fast or whatever, please let me know. Okay. This was the final step, is integrating into the Omni. Again, if you're not really familiar with the Omni, it is we're the world's leader in omnidirectional treadmills for virtual reality. Been around for about 12 years. We manufacture everything from the shoulders on down. The commercial product costs about $2,400. If you have your own headset and your own content, about $3,000 if you want to buy our Pico 4 headset with our game system. We have SDKs for Unreal, for Unity, for C++ if you got your own rendering engine. We're also part of the Made for Meta program. So if you're developing stuff on the Meta Quest 3, we've got a SDK to be able to port that. As you take a look at the actual device itself, the arm and the Bluetooth foot trackers that you slip over top of your shoes when you step into the device, they basically replace the WASD on your keyboard or your controller, your left and right controller sticks. And it allows you to be able to actually physically walk inside of your virtual terrain. You can walk, you can run, you can kneel, you can jump. We took this to the Marine Corps and were like, hey, can I low crawl in it? And I kind of looked at the Marine, I'm like, really? No, you can't low crawl in it. Nice try. But what it does do, as a former infantry guy, now I can actually walk the terrain. So I can, if I'm talking to my senior leaders, I can put 4 or 5 of them in a multiplayer experience. We can come in as avatars and we can walk the terrain. Oftentimes when I was doing military operations, and I served both in the deserts and I spent a lot of time in Panama, you take a look at a map, and in this schoolhouse, they teach you about how to identify dead space and how to read a topographical map and everything else. And it briefs well until you walk the terrain. And all of a sudden you realize that that small little deviation on a contour line is actually a lot deeper, and it creates dead space in front of your fighting position or for your movement. That can mean the difference of a successful military operation or one that's going to end badly. Walking the terrain, being able to do that with your leaders, now I can walk behind that, I can go into that gully, and all of a sudden I realize it's a lot deeper than we had. And then we can talk about, hey, what do we want to do here? Sir, we want to go ahead and put obstacles in here to force the enemy up and around. We want to be able to shape the battlefield. So having that ability to walk the terrain is critically important. It also allows you to do timing. Oftentimes when we'll do timing for military operations, I have to identify if we take casualties, where are we going to collect those folks? How are we going to get them to frontline ambulances and out of the area? Is the area covered and concealed? Is it a concealed route so that we're not having to evacuate casualties under fire? All those types of things. I can look at a paper map, and I can even look at a 3D terrain, from a third-person perspective. But if I can actually walk it with our guys, we can get appreciation for the terrain, and we can also time it. So as I'm planning on a paper map, I can say, yeah, it should take us about 10 minutes. And then when I get in here and realize, guys, it's going to take me 25 minutes to walk across this field. All right, we need to figure something else out. So this is where the power of, why is geospatial important? Why are some of the cesium tools to enable visualization of 3D terrain so important? Because now you're providing the commanders and soldiers, in this case, with the ability to be able to do this. And we'll talk about some other use cases that aren't defense related, but again, it gets back to, digital dirt. Why is it important? Well, for a lot of different reasons. We're finally starting to head into a area now where it is becoming really important, because now you can really operationalize it. You're not just looking at it at a trade show, you're actually walking it with your folks. So for the Omni One integration, it actually went relatively smoothly. Once we got in, we had to get the Z axis correct so that you're not walking through the terrain in the middle of your chest. Well, after we played around played around with it a little bit. We were able to get it to work very well, and our guys were able to go all the way through that. Some of the use cases that we've done so far, obviously we did that paintball field out in Texas. For the U.S. Marine Corps and U.S. Navy, we went to a beach in the Indo-Pacific region and captured that. It raised some eyebrows when we did, but you're able to actually walk one of the beaches that may become very important. And while the leaders were walking it, all of a sudden you can see the light bulb going off in their head, like, oh my God, this is where the bridge is at. And this, you can start to see where they would put weapon placements and where they would put sensors and drones, and all of it starts to come together. For the Omni One platform, if you're not familiar with it, again, it's a commercial device, allows you for 360-degree movement. It's got a built-in safety harness. It's been out for about 12 years. If you got some questions about that, we can leave you with some additional information. One of the things we always are looking for is development partners to do use cases. So if there's something that you're interested in, I'll leave my contact information with Sarah, and we can take a look at setting up a partnership, because we want to start to bring in this locomotion and VR capability to the geospatial domain. So we talked a little bit about the defense and defense use cases. There's a couple other ones that I'd like to kind of bring your attention to, because not everybody here's focusing on defense. Security and law enforcement. One of the things that this type of technology will allow you to do is now we can walk for security purposes. We're working with the Department of Homeland Security, and one of their areas they're concerned about is security around nuclear power plants. Today, God's honest truth, this is what they do. They go to a federal law enforcement training center in either Georgia or New Mexico, and they look at a PowerPoint map, and then they get assigned there, and they're in charge of security. If that doesn't scare you, it should. What we're looking at now is, could we actually have the folks at those training facilities, hey, walk 3 Mile Island, every aspect of it, beginning to end. Obviously for this police and fire and SWAT and all that, but also disaster relief, disaster response, all those types of use cases we can take a look at. For enterprise and safety, one of our customers that we all get boxes from every 5 minutes, delivered to the house, they have approached us for operational safety. So they want to scan their warehouses and have their employees walk through the warehouse, introduce obstacles and all that. And the idea is for them to be able to reduce their insurance rates because they're being able to demonstrate they have safety training. And then obviously for entertainment, one of the things that we have, one of our games that we have is called Trex. Our next step for this is to be able to use gouging, splatting, and the same kind of approach, but start targeting it towards our parents and our grandparents, giving them a chance that they can't go to Grand Canyon anymore, they can't travel anymore, but I want to be able to walk the Grand Canyon again or walk Niagara Falls again. And they can meet in a virtual environment that's photorealistic. They can carry on a conversation, and they can physically walk the terrain. It sounds kind of lame, but if your 80s, 90s don't get around a whole lot, that's kind of cool. And the device helps support that. And we're also taking a look at also for esports and some other areas. So, virtual terrain walk, although we're starting with the defense use case, has applications all the way across the industry. And this is it. My kind of wrap-up slide. Again, from beginning to end, reality capture, did the gouging and splatting, use the cesium ion tools to get 3D tiles. We ported it into Unreal, and then we connected it to our virtual terrain walk system using the Omni One treadmill. And again, the power is you're actually walking the terrain for the first time. You're physically walking the terrain, and it is a bit of a workout. I tell you, my wife needles me. She's like, you need to get on that a little bit more. But we had one guy as an example. I was talking to Sarah before you all walked in. The treadmill can work with any PC VR headset system. So one of our customers is a big Skyrim guy. So he's dropped 40 pounds in 4 months, and all he does is wake up, and every morning he walks for an hour. He just walks the kingdom from one end to the other. And I asked him, do you do any of the RPG stuff? He's like, nah, Judge, I run away from all that stuff. I just want to walk the terrain. And it's 250, 300 square miles of virtual terrain that he's walking. So there's a lot of cool applications for this, and hopefully I can plant some seeds to get you guys excited. With that, that's what I got for the presentation. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just curious, when you did your exercises, your simulations or emulations as a battalion, were you able to have multiple of these platforms all in sync so that you could run these types?
So for the proof of concept that you saw there, we were able to do two. So the short answer is yes. The systems are designed to support up to 12 in a multiplayer environment. And the reason 12 is important is we got 12 Bluetooth channels, and each one of the foot trackers is on a separate channel. So we're able to support up to 12. We can go higher if we need to. To be honest with you, anything as a military guy, anything beyond about 12 gets a little weird. Although everybody wants to have that big room from Ready Player One, it's hard to manage. But getting a rifle squad in there, or 12 key leaders in there to do a key leader rehearsal, or to walk Gettysburg again, or to walk some areas, those are the types of things we can do. So we can do multiplayer up to about 12. And if you're interested, that we actually have one of our products is called the Omni Arena, and they have one here at Dave & Buster's here in town.
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the reality capture and Gauzy was piloting, and you did a paintball field in Texas.
Yes, sir.
Have you done any larger collects, or maybe, I don't know if you're familiar with range 220 and 29 palms, like things those sizes, like would that be feasible, or is that kind of out of the scope?
Actually, no, it's not out of scope. No, we've not done that size yet. Yes, I'm very familiar with range 220. I'm an Army Sims guy, so they send me out to the Marine Corps. Anyway, the short version of it is yes. So we're actually working with Training and Education Command, TCOM, out of Marine Corps Quantico. We're doing a smaller proof of concept. So we got a subset of 29 palms that we're going to go scan. If they like it, we're going to expand it. It probably won't be the entire range, but definitely the tomato factory area and some of the mount areas. We're going to do the same thing at the National Training Center, the Mount Village they got there in the Central Corridor. We're going to scan that, and as well McKenna Mount at Fort Benning, Georgia. Sure.
So pipeline question for you. We're having trouble right now converting Gaussian splats into a mesh. So with where does this happen, this step, creating a mesh from the Gaussian splats, or do you manually reconstruct the meshes?
So I know, I tell you what, if you can touch base with me after the presentation, I'm going to put you in touch with our engineer. I can walk and chew bubble gum, but not that type of oil. Yeah, I do know that we use the Cesium ion tools to be able to help with, be able to get from the camera to the mesh, and then obviously to the 3D tiles and all that. I know how we do that, but I'm not going to do it justice. So I'll put you in touch with our lead content developer, and he can talk you through the process. And it was actually, when I took a look at it, having been dealing with virtual terrain for 2 decades, I was expecting it to be a root canal. It was actually pretty easy. He knows what he's doing though, but I'll put you in touch with him. Question?
What's the max speed?
On the we really haven't tested that. I mean, everybody is, if you can, I mean, if you're a killer runner, I'm sure we can come check something out.
I'm not. My wife is.
Yeah.
We're actually talking about doing an application where people could run marathon courses before the course because there's no real.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in terms of latency, because where we've got it set up so the latency is almost negligible. So as you're starting, for example, if you want to do the Boston Marathon and be able to do virtually all the way through, the gate's a little bit different. I'm a runner as well. I know it doesn't look like it, but I am. Yeah, you guys hit 55 and it changes. But once you start to, once you kind of get into the move and running, you can do those types of experiences to be able to kind of walk and run the area. We've not tested it with like a pro runner, but I'll tell you the latency is almost zero. One of the reasons that we do that is I would recommend using a PCVR headset setup, and we provide a Bluetooth dongle that we put right next to the device, and then it runs out to your PC, and that reduces the latency almost to nothing. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Joe, so much for your talk. And if you want to ask him more questions, find him on LinkedIn, find him at the party tonight, and ask him all of your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.